Namaste and welcome to this live edition of Live, Love, Engage, coming to you live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And I want to welcome those of you watching as well as those of you who are listening to this rebroadcast on your favorite podcast platform. And I've got a guest that I'm going to bring on today, and I'm looking forward to our conversation with her. So I'm going to bring on Vicky McGrath right now to Live, Love, Engage. Welcome, Vicky.
Thank you, Gloria. It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, well, I'm really looking forward to our conversation because you are someone who is right up my alley in what you're doing. So let me introduce you and just tell everybody about what it is that you're up to in the world. So Vicky is a mindset and intuition mastery mentor, certified life purpose medium, psychic, and 25-year Reiki practitioner who empowers mid-career women to create a life they love using their intuition. And she has a step-by-step approach, 90 days to sovereign goddess, and helping motivated mid-career women really use their mindset to raise their vibration, discover their intuitive gifts, and learn how, again, to use their intuition to create a life they love. And I know you're also working on a book, I think, by around this subject as well. I believe is that correct, Vicky?
That's correct. Yes, my book will be a guidebook on how to use your intuition to create a life you love.
Awesome. Well, I always love to start these interviews because I love to learn a little bit more about our guests and sort of the journey that got them on here. And I would love to be able to have you share with our audience, both those watching and those listening, a little bit about what got you especially particularly interested in helping women to be able to really tap into their intuition. So what led you to that?
Great. Well, thank you. I think it's probably a fairly common story. I have my own business together with my husband, which we run. It's in the healthcare industry, and it requires us to be out in the community networking and meeting other, people, business referrals. And once the pandemic arrived on the scene, all of the things that I normally did to promote my business really fell away because there was really no ability to enter a lot of the establishments, the doctor's offices, the hospitals, et cetera, that we had as referral partners up here in Ontario. We were quite locked down within the pandemic very early on, and this led to me really feeling negative emotions, really, is the bottom line. Because for me, I'm an extrovert. I enjoy being out with people. I have always been that way. I enjoy meeting new people and talking with people that I know. And so the feeling that I got when that kind of shutdown happened was the more and more negative feelings. And I noticed that within a very short period of time, I was on this sort of negative thought loop about, how was I going to grow my business, that this, this wasn't what I normally did, and how am I going to continue, and how can I work through this? And it was just this really terrible, negative thought loop. And one day I was driving along in my car and I was crying because I felt so depressed and anxious about, I had to get out and drive around because at least then I was out. But I was crying in my car and I was thinking, what the heck? Like, 2 seconds ago, I was in neutral, right? And here I am, and I'm crying about this negative thought loop that just sprung up in my mind. And that was the moment that I kind of became aware that this negative thought loop was on repeat, and I didn't even notice that that's what was happening. And in fact, every day that I continued with that negative thought loop, it just reinforced itself. And so I just decided at that moment that I had to change this approach, that there was something that just wasn't working there for me, and I couldn't carry on that way. So I began to look at mindset training and positive affirmations and different ways to kind of bring myself out of this thought loop process. And I came across a book that I already had on my shelf. It's called Train Your Brain. It's by Dana Wilde. And so I started to look into that. And what Dana proposes is that although we can't stop thoughts, we can interrupt them by noticing them happening and then replacing them with something positive right away. And that just helps to interrupt that negative thought loop. And so for me, what happened was once I did that, I became aware of feeling better, stopping the thought loop, feeling better. And then every time I felt better, I just built on the feeling better. And then suddenly I started to notice, new ideas, new insights, new things in my life. And I started to I guess my vibration just started to raise as a result of that, changing that thought loop and interrupting that. And so I just became really curious. Okay, so, how can I continue to build this positive feeling, build this positive vibration. And so I just kind of kept going with research into positive affirmations, positive mindset. And one of the things that I decided to do was I was, as everybody does, scrolling through Facebook, and I noticed this Practical Magic, free 5-day summit or whatever it was. And I thought, that sounds like fun. I'm going to join that because I'm taking in charge of my life, and I could use a little magic right now. And what happened at that summit is like nothing short of mind blowing, because I became aware of a whole new approach to life, with magic. And literally at that moment, my mind was blown and all of my intuitive gifts blasted open. And literally ever since then, I was always a Reiki practitioner for 25 years, but I had no idea that I could channel multidimensional beings, that I had all of these other intuitive gifts, that I had all of these, the clairs, were blasted open. I was receiving information from, all over the place. And I know it sounds so funny, but I don't think this is an experience that I alone have had. And so I thought, this is something I'm sure other people are going through. Maybe not the total magic blast off,
Right.
but I'm sure must be many other women and people in general that have experienced something similar, have found themselves in a place where they're unhappy, and then they notice that they're tired of being unhappy. And so they decide to do something about it. That's really the bottom line. And so that's how I came to be where I am. It's a funny story, but it happened so suddenly and so recently that I just thought, I've got to start telling people about it.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. And there's so many good lessons here, because it's so easy to get, as you say, in that negative thought loop, and just, and it just kind of, when you get caught in that, it just kind of keeps going and keeps going. And it's hard to sometimes be able to pull yourself back out again. But I love that you were able to say, wait a minute, because that sometimes is all it takes, is just an awareness. And I was actually kind of been going through something similar this past week. Even I've been kind of having something. And this morning I was,
Me too.
I've been reading a really good book. I think it's called Find Your North Star. And it was just something in it today that it kind of clicked. And I realized that, oh yeah, that's what I really love doing. I need to do more of that. And then that will help me to feel better again. So I'm intending to do more of that this afternoon. So it's all good. And I appreciate that. And I will say also that the intuitive gifts that you have, that, yeah, I know some people would be like, what, this isn't that maybe what I've signed up for. However, Um, I think it's all good, and everybody has something different. So, um, let's go a little bit further. So you've got this awakening now, and so how did that translate into then you being able to now, working with other women, and what was that like? How did that work for you?
So what I found after kind of, living it for a little while was this, that was really like three steps. It was, first of all, become aware that you're feeling bad, and then, decide that you're going to do something else, or think about it in a new way, or, attempt to bring yourself out of the current pattern of thinking. So that's step one, is notice and decide, and then replace the negative thinking with positive thinking. And that just really requires a lot of awareness and noticing and deciding that you are not going to tolerate that low mood or that negative thought loop anymore. You just have to decide, and then you have to choose new, improved, positive thoughts to replace those negative thoughts. And then what I found is that, so that's step one. And then step two was, as I felt better, I noticed all of these amazing ideas, insights, uh, people, books, things started popping up into my consciousness, my purview, that suddenly gave me all kinds of great new ideas, new creative ways of looking at things, new creative ways of doing things, and allowed my intuition to blossom. And because I was feeling so much better, and my vibration had raised so much. So that's step two. So step one is notice the negative thought loop and then replace it with something positive. Step two is you feel better. And so that's when all of these great ideas come in and start, informing your life in a new and improved way. And step three is really just celebrating all the things that you're now doing and making progress on, that you were not before doing or making progress on. So you feel like taking action once you feel inspired. So you feel better, you feel inspired, you take inspired action, and then celebrate how amazing it is that you've been able to take that inspired action, and how it would never have been in your life, or that opportunity might never have come to you, or you might never have met that person, or read that book, or heard that song lyric, or seen something that you otherwise wouldn't have seen if you were not in that positive state. And so this is how I decided that I was going to help other women who were perhaps in the same place that I was. Perhaps they were also feeling stuck in this negative thought loop, and they were tired, sick and tired of whatever the condition that they find themselves in, and wanted to take another approach, but maybe didn't know how. So my 3-step formula is actually extremely easy, and anyone can do it. And we all have the ability to open to our intuitive gifts. And that's really what I call intuition, is that when you feel better and you open up to all of these great ideas, and things start flowing, and you feel inspired to take action, that's what I call our intuition. It's just, not things that you have to think about, but just great ideas that just come to you, or things that you might not have otherwise thought of, just suddenly pop up and bubble up because you want to do something about them.
Mm. Well, I love that. It really is a simple process, and it just requires really a lot of, I think, intention and mindfulness about that. I want to ask you though, because sometimes I found, and I realize you're sort of differentiating now a little bit in that, in intuition, you're calling intuitive gifts, but is there can there be a way for someone to perhaps want to start doing what you're doing, to follow this 3-step process and get it wrong?
I don't think so, because at the worst case scenario, you feel better. right? And I don't think that that there's no bad outcome there. So I think if people are open to thinking about things in a new and creative way, or are open to receiving information or insights that they hadn't otherwise thought of or wouldn't otherwise think of, I don't think there's any bad side to that, no matter what stage of life you're in.
Well, that's good to know. Excuse me. Appreciate that. Um, what has been maybe a challenge that you've found though as you've made this? Has there been, I guess, any challenges that you've discovered as you've been going through this process now?
Well, I think that everyone is going to experience challenges when they're trying something new. There is going to be some aspect of your life that you are leaving behind or that has to fall away, because you have to leave that part of you behind to move forward in a new and positive way. And so that is definitely a challenge. And that's because, that's been called your old paradigm or your old programming, or however you want to approach it. We're raised in our lives by well-intentioned people, for the most part, our parents, families, teachers, colleagues. We grow up repeating the same behaviors over and over again, learning to talk, learning to walk, learning to eat. All of those things were just repetition. And so as we grow up, our entire lives are programmed by those around us. And so that negative thought loop that I was experiencing, I realized was also my old programming, not knowing how to move forward, because that hadn't been programmed into me yet. And so, what I would say is that that's actually very uncomfortable to acknowledge, that your old program has to fall away, that your old paradigm is no longer serving you, and that you choose to leave it behind, because that's imperative. You can't continue to drag along those old negative beliefs and move forward in a positive new way. And so that's what I would say is probably the most challenging. It's an ongoing challenge. It will always be a challenge, because every time you move forward and break through some old programming that's in there, it will resurface once you have moved past it and tried something new. Because every time you try something new, it's literally something new, and your mind has not got a program for that. So it's going to try to pull you back to what it knows, to pull you back into what's comfortable. And that's why, you hear about people saying all the time, stay in your comfort zone, stay in your comfort zone, or don't stay in your comfort zone. The reality is that the comfort zone is only what we know. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we as individuals even chose that comfort zone. It's just how it's come to be for us. And so that's, I think, what the most important thing to recognize is, that when you choose to no longer look at your life through that negative lens, and you choose positive approaches in your life, you are going to come up against that program, and it's going to be uncomfortable. And you just have to know that that's what's happening. Okay. Hello there, program. Mom, Dad, thanks so much. I really have appreciated all you've done for me. And now it's time to move along.
I love that. And because that's what I was going to ask you. It's like, okay, yeah, it sounds good to be able to say that, okay, I've got to choose this new program, but that isn't always easy to do, because as you say, going back to that comfort zone is what is familiar, and it can be really challenging, because you can have, I feel like sometimes, the old cartoons, they would have the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other, and they're both trying to tell you what to do. And so, trying to be able to say, okay, I know that this is the way I want to go, but it's challenging. So what have you found specifically that you've done? Other than just saying, okay, yes, I thank you very much, mom and dad, or whatever. Is there anything else any other tools or practices that you've used to help you really stay the course on the new course, as it were?
I just continue to repeat the formula. It
Okay.
is easy. It is simple, but it is not easy. Let's just say it that way. Because the reality is that every time you bump up against an old thought pattern or an old program, which is, every day of our lives, because they're always popping up, even if you didn't know it before, all of a sudden you're aware that these old thought patterns are popping up. And every time you do that, you have to overcome that, if you have decided to feel better. And so feeling better is always my goal now. And so feeling better is just a matter of choosing a new positive thought and replacing the old negative thought. And then once you feel better, seeing the inspiration, the insights, the intuition that guides you forward from there and taking a new approach forward. And that has to be the approach that you take, because otherwise you're going to get, stuck in, oh, what do I do now? How do I move forward? You don't have to know the how. You just have to trust your intuition is guiding you, because if you feel good, then that is always the only outcome. The only outcome can be that you feel good, you feel better, and that is when you can start to move forward and make progress. Tiny baby steps is all you need. Just a little bit of feeling better is all you need every day, right? But you
Absolutely.
must choose that that's what you want.
Yeah. And there was something you said there right before the baby steps, though. I lost it now, but it it really does come down to choice. And there comes a time that when you do just say, enough is enough. I'm tired of feeling bad. And I think the other thing is to recognize that it's not always going to be, as you say, it's simple, but it's not necessarily easy. And there's going to be times where you're perhaps are going to backslide a little bit. And I want to say that's okay, as long as you don't have it be, staying there forever. I think it's good to be able to give yourself grace to say, yeah, okay, maybe today I'm not having as good a day as I would like to. But later I'll do better. What do you think about that?
I think better is a great word, right? Better is a great word. And absolutely, every day you're going to come up against something in your old program or your old paradigm that you didn't know was there every single day, because I'm 53 years old. So, for the past 50 years, I've been programmed by other people, and I had no idea. And those people had no idea what they were doing programming my amazing brain, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely no idea what they were doing. And so I just look at that. That's exactly what you call it. You call it grace. You say, you know what? Those people had no idea what I was capable of, what I am now capable of. And so I'm the one that has to choose to say, I am capable. I have everything I need to be successful. Everything I need it within me, right? I don't have to rely on anybody else anymore. Everything I have is within me. And
Mm.
so that's just the way that you have to look at it, right? You have to have compassion for yourself and recognize that this isn't going to change overnight, that you've been living this way your whole life and you didn't even know. And now you're choosing something different. It's going to be uncomfortable. The people around you are all part of that old program. Your family, your loved ones, your colleagues, everyone that you know is part of that old program. And that is going to be challenging for you to say, okay, I'm moving on and I'm going to do the things that I want to do and choose to be the way I want to be now. If they are not in that same place, right? If they're not coming along with you. So this is why I say it's going to be uncomfortable, but you have to choose what is best for you. And what is best for you is always just to feel better.
Yeah. So I'm going to change gears slightly here and ask you a little bit about the book. So why did you decide to actually write a book?
Well, I thought the book would be the guidebook for the three-step formula. That's really kind of how I looked at it, right? I thought that a book was a really great way to get the formula out, to give me an opportunity to expand my reach and reach more people. And I think that the whole point of the book is really to inspire and empower women, especially, who may be in a place of being sick and tired of being in the place that they're in, whatever that might be. It might be more than just the pandemic. It could have been something that they feel stuck in for a long time. They could be stuck in their career. They could be stuck in a relationship. They could be stuck in any area of their life. And this book could really just be a guidebook for them. And the beautiful thing about the whole process of using the formula is that you don't have to tell anyone that you're doing it. You can just do everything in your own mind and take action on your own thoughts and insights and ideas. So that's the part that I love too, is that while you are improving your own self, you're following your own intuition, you don't have to tell anyone else that's what's going on. They will notice. They will notice that you're different. But that is the book is a guidebook, and it comes with, the ability to journal and do worksheets to, continuously work through each time something new pops up. How can I apply the formula to that new thing that's popped up so that I can continue to move forward and make progress in my life and rely on my own intuition to guide me forward when other people are not maybe supporting me, or when I don't know what else to do, or this is new territory and my brain doesn't know what to make of it. The formula will help.
Mm. What has been the favorite thing that you've experienced as a result of your own transformation over the last few years now?
I would say just knowing that I am completely and totally capable of everything I need within me.
Mm.
I have really come to understand that there is nothing or no one outside of me that can think my thoughts or feel my feelings or
Mm.
know what I know. And I and everyone else in your listenership have just got so much potential. Our beautiful, amazing, incredible minds are so much more than we could ever possibly know. And that each one of us has the ability to take action ourselves with our own mind and create whatever life we want as a result of taking control of our minds. And I say mind, but it's this is the debate is always around, is it your mind or is it your, intuition? But if, to me, it's all within me, whatever it might be. That's the bottom line that I have noticed for me, is that I now know that I have, and you have, and everyone has the ability to create my own reality by choosing the thoughts that I want to think.
Mhm. I love that you said that, because it really is. It's so interesting to come to that realization. I think for so um, many of us, and I know I fell into this for a long time, I guess, or maybe it's just when we're young, we don't really think about it, that we our experience life is happening to us, and forgetting that we are inside of this body. There is some presence, some spirit, if you will, that is thinking the thoughts, that is having the feelings, and we get to decide. I was at some personal development workshop many years ago where that was really the point they wanted to say, is that I get to decide how I want to be, what I want to do, and that is so empowering, to know that everybody has that ability to decide. It's your life. Don't leave it for somebody else to decide what you're going to do. We only have one life that we know of right now, for sure, that we can count on. Whatever else you believe, but we're right here, right now, on this planet, and it's really up to each individual to decide how they want to live that life. And so I'm glad that you were making that point. One last thing I want to ask you is, because I love asking my guests this too, is to find out, what are you curious about right now?
I am curious about how I can continue to, uh, spread the formula. I really want to know how I can let more people know, especially women. I really do believe that women, they feel the burden of motherhood, of spousehood, of careerhood, and there's a lot that we take on ourselves and feel responsible for. And so I am just really curious about how I can continue to, you know, raise the platform, if you like, or increase the platform of how I can reach more women to help them to create a life they love using their intuition. And that is really my whole goal right now, is how can I just reach more and more people and allow them to see that they actually do have the ability to create their lives the way they want to choose, want and choose.
Hmm. Well, I'm glad that I was able to help you today to be able to get the message out, because it is an important one. And I'm glad that you are doing your bit to help people, to really, and women in particular. Yeah, because for some reason we like to take on the burden of the whole world for some reason. And it's not ours to take, ladies. Just take your own, and then once you take care of yourself, then you can start taking care of other people. So I'm really glad that I'm able to help you share your message today. Look forward to having you get that book out, because you're right. I think that will definitely be a really good tool for women to be able to use, and to tap into their intuitive gifts, because everybody does have them. We absolutely do. So if someone is listening to this in particular, and would like to be able to reach out to you, maybe learn more about you, and what is the best place for people to contact you?
Oh, thank you. Yes, people can reach me via my website, www.vickymcgrath.ca. And I would be delighted to have them take my free guided visualization PDF as a result of coming to my website. It's a fun visualization journey. I think they would really enjoy it. It helps just to begin to open up to our creativity. And that, I think, is among the first steps to discovering your intuitive gifts. So definitely my website would be a great place.
All right, excellent. And I will be sure and have that in the show notes, but I will just let you know, Vicky's name is spelled with a Y, so not an I. And so go to vickymcgrath.ca, because she does live in Canada, as she mentioned. So I'm so glad to have had you on the show today. I really appreciate you spending some time with us, and sharing your insights. And I know that folks listening and watching today receive some benefit from it. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. And I hope that I was able to add some value to your listeners.
Absolutely. And I want to thank all of you for watching and for listening. And I really do appreciate you as well, and encourage you to check out our other episodes. Go to liveloveengagepodcast.com. If you've missed any, make sure that you're subscribed on your favorite podcast platform or our YouTube channel. And until next time, I love to invite you to live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically.